Hiya, welcome back to the Menadu channel. In this video, you're going to be joining me as we head up the east coast of Australia, starting off in Brisbane and going all the way up to Cairns. And we stopped off at a few places on the way to do some field recording, so sit back, relax, and let's get cracking. Our first stop after Brisbane was Noosa. Noosa had some gorgeous beaches and I was quite keen to record some waves in Atmos. Initially the weather wasn't great on the first day, but we headed out anyway. I was very set on recording around the coastal path. There's a 10k walk all around the national park, so we headed off to check it out. Unfortunately for a field recordist, the coastal walk wasn't ideal. It was very busy with people walking and talking, so I had to pick my spots carefully. The good thing about the waves were they're loud and consistent, so it did cover up some of the chit chat. Despite the lack of sun, it was still very hot and humid. I cracked on and headed on to the next beach. After recording at this beach, I headed back to the path and a little kookaburra swooped down to say hello. It's the first wild one I've seen in Australia. A few more recordings later, I dipped my toes in the water and called it a day. I decided to head back and get up early the next day to do some more recordings. It wasn't as busy at 7 AM the next day, but there were still a few people on runs and walks, so I had to be quite quick with my setup and recordings. It was also a much hotter day. I set up and recorded the coves and beaches that I recorded the day before, then continued my hike around the coastal walk. One of the beaches I recorded at was Tea Tree Beach. It's home to wild koalas, but unfortunately I didn't see any. The further I got on the walk, the less people there were and the more picturesque it got. Crystal clear waters, ivory white beaches, and lush green forests. I was so captivated by the scenery that I almost lost my tripod off a cliff.
Almost lost a tripod.
Continuing my walk, I got to Fairy Pools. I had a quick sit down and headed off again. The next spot I got to was called Hell's Gate. I had another sit down here and took some more of the scenery in. Then it was time to head to the next beach called Alexandria Bay. After that recording, I carried on the path and finished up the recordings along the Noosa coastal walk. The next stop was Hervey Bay. It's a far sleepier town and the beach doesn't have any of the same surfing waves as Noosa, more paddleboard vibes. It did, however, have bats, lots of them. On a stroll the day before, I discovered a big fruit bat colony, so headed out early in the morning, still with wet hair, to go and record them. I've been battling with the elements a bit lately, and today's challenge was the wind. Later that day, the sun came out and we headed to the beach to crack open a couple of cold ones, chill out and decompress. I also recorded some relaxing lapping wave sounds here, and that was pretty much it. Agnes Water was our next stop. The beach here was gorgeous, lovely dunes with deep blue water which was actually pretty warm. I didn't do too much recording on the first day, mainly just enjoying the sunshine. The next day we popped to the local museum. Agnes Water is next to a place called 1770. According to the fella at the museum, Agnes Water gets its name from a ship called the Agnes that sunk near it, and 1770 gets its name from when Captain Cook stopped there during his circumnavigation of Australia. There was lots of other cool bits in the museum to check out too: weapons, Aboriginal pieces, old furniture, clothing and much more. Really cute little place. After the museum and the heavy downpour, I popped out to see if I could do some recordings at a spot called the Discovery Trail, a little walk which led to a viewpoint and a beach. So I'll hop in now and I'll show you what happened there. It's been quite tough to do recordings here and a lot of the spots on the trip because it's been quite touristy and it's Easter break right now as well, so there's a lot of people about. Oh well, try and fit in some recordings. There's a big bird of prey out there. I can see it. Can you see it just there? Jumping up in the trees. There goes my chance at a recording. There's a fisherman down there with a massive speaker. Man's playing Linkin Park down there now. A nice view though. Bit of a shame I can't get any recordings, but you can't control everything. That's just the way it goes with field recording sometimes. Turkey in a tree. It's quite funny seeing turkeys in trees because in the UK they're usually really fat because people eat them, but here they're skinny and running around, so it's kind of funny seeing them in trees. Some really sick trees. So I'm going to do a recording with the Tascam on board mics. I'm going to pop them on this rock here because I noticed that if it's really low to the ground recording waves and stuff, it's really bassy as well. So I might try that again where it's a little bit bassy, but I also wanted to get one where it's not as bassy. So I'm going to do a recording here and then pop along that way because it looks like there's less people there because I might get some screams from kids here. But we'll give it a go anyway and see how it turns out. This is a cool looking beach. I really like the way that the trees and stuff are so close to the water. That was it for that spot, I think. Got a little bit too windy for my Tascam recorder, and I thought I had extra wind cover for those Clippy mics because the ones that I bought for the Tascam X8 fit over the Clippy mic DIY ones that I've done, and it just adds an extra bit of wind protection. But It wasn't in my bag. I thought it was in my backpack, but it turns out it wasn't. So yeah, I'm just gonna head back now, and I'll see you probably in the next spot. So, in a bit. After a few days in Agnes Water, it was time to get back on the coach for the long 14-hour trip to Ayr. This was pretty brutal, if I'm honest. I was knackered, so I only managed a couple of recordings in the evening, birds and whatnot. In the morning, we boarded the coach to Mission Beach, but had to do a little changeover in Townsville. While we were eating some chips, we got chatting to a lovely local called Kathy, who offered to give us a quick tour. We drove up to the highest point called Castle Hill, which overlooked the whole area, and it was pretty beautiful. That's Magnetic Island. Little army bunker. We drove around a bit more, and then it was time to pop back to the coach stop to get to Mission Beach. We had a really nice place to stay at in Mission Beach. Unfortunately, we arrived late and left early, so I had no chance to use the pool. Whoa. There were some chairs though.
King of the castle, I have 2 chairs.
I also didn't really get a chance to record anything here, as at around 12 the next day, we boarded our last coach up to Cairns. Big ass emu. So, what's in store for Cairns? I'm keen to explore a lot of the natural beauty that you can already see behind me. There's another bit just over there, loads of like forests and rainforests. I'm keen to explore some of that, and there's a little bird right above me. And I'm also quite keen to go on some more like touristy trips. So we've already booked a scenic railway up the side of the mountains to Kuranda, I think I pronounced that right. So stay tuned to see some of that, see some of the bits which is going on in Cairns. I hope you enjoyed the little travel video up the east coast. We're planning on doing it down again later on at some point, maybe in a van as well, so I'll be able to stop up at quite a few more places to do some recordings. If you did like this video, be sure to give me a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm absolutely roasting in the sun right now. It's like 35 degrees or something, so as an Englishman, and I'm dying. So yeah, I would really appreciate that like and subscribe. To follow more of my day-to-day antics, go and follow my Instagram account. I'll post it up on screen now. Stories and different pictures and reels of what I'm up to. Anyway, other than that, cheers for watching and peace out.